Hello from Becky and me. Welcome to this evening's programme.
First tonight, the double killing that's shocked a quiet community near Norwich.
Retired executive 65-year-old Ken Snell and his 39-year-old girlfriend Karen Brown were found dead at his bungalow in leafy Cringleford on Saturday night. They'd both been stabbed to death.
Police have arrested a 44-year-old man believed to be known to both victims on suspicion of their murders. Meanwhile, people living nearby are struggling to come to terms with what's happened. Malcolm Robertson reports.
At Eton Golf Club in Norwich, the flag was at half-mast today, a tribute to one of the club's most popular players. Ken Snell was described as the sort of golfer every club would want as a member. But on Saturday, he was the victim of a savage knife attack at his home near Norwich. He and his girlfriend Karen Brown were both stabbed to death. The police were alerted to this tragedy on Saturday night when they received a frantic call from this address pleading for help because they were under attack. When officers arrived, the scene was one of devastation. The bungalow had been broken into and both Ken Snell and Karen Brown were dead. Today his silver car was still in the drive. Her car was under the carport. Many of those living nearby are retired and they still can't quite come to terms with what's happened.
He's either cycling or skiing, or he's an active chap and he's a nice chap. That's all I can say. I've never invited him in to my house for a party, but Ken would invite everybody in.
Andy Hendon is a gardener who regularly works close to where Ken Snell lived.
Big shock, really big shock. So I think, you know, the whole street is obviously really upset because, as I said, everyone else seemed to be very close around this area, you know.
3 years ago, Mr. Snell's bungalow was seriously damaged by fire while he was on a skiing holiday. Neighbours said he divorced some years ago. In recent months, they'd seen Karen Brown making regular visits to his bungalow. It's understood the 44-year-old man being questioned in connection with their deaths was a former boyfriend of hers.
There was no threat to any other member of the public, and there were no firearms used, as has been reported in some elements of the press. And, you know, this was a very contained incident.
Karen Brown used to work at a sandwich shop in Norwich. Ken Snell was formerly a manufacturing manager with the audio firm Motorola. He regularly played tennis at his local club in Cringleford and for almost 10 years had been a member of Eton Golf Club.
It's been very devastating for myself this morning because I knew Ken, as I know quite a lot of my members, and it was a total shock to me, total shock to many members, and certainly to his close friends.
Tonight a man remains in custody being questioned about the deaths.
And Malcolm Robertson joins us now from Cringleford. Malcolm, this has clearly shocked a lot of people.
Well, I think, Becky, a double murder would be a shock wherever it took place, but particularly so in Cringleford. This is a village about 3 miles from the centre of Norwich. It's a very upmarket village. A lot of quite wealthy people live in Cringleford. A lot of retired people are here, and they were clearly very upset and very shocked to see all the police cars and the ambulances turning up here on Saturday night. And clearly the police have been very keen to reassure them today that a man is in custody in connection with the deaths.
Well, Malcolm, just looking at your report, clearly Ken Snell appears to have been a very popular man.
Yes, I've spoken to a lot of people from a lot of different organisations today, and the thing that's really shone out is the sense of warmth that there has been towards Ken Snell. He would put Jonathan, many men half his age, to shame with all the things that he's been doing. He was a keen runner, a keen cyclist, as we heard there, played a lot of tennis, keen skier, also a member of the local golf club here at Eton, where he was a very popular member. He was also a season ticket holder at Norwich City, and as I say, a lot of people are very shocked at what's happened because he was genuinely regarded by so many people as an extremely nice man.
All right, Malcolm, thank you very much indeed for the details on that. Now then, when Josephine Backshall from Malden in Essex was murdered back in 1974, it sparked a major investigation, with police taking nearly 2,000 statements.
Well, despite that, her killer has never been caught. And now, 35 years later, specialist cold case investigators are launching a fresh appeal for information.
Today, her 3 children spoke out in the hope of unravelling the mystery surrounding their mother's death. Victoria Webb now reports.
For 35 years, Josephine Backshall's children, Christopher, Sarah and Emma, have had to grow up knowing their mother's killer has never been caught. They were just 12, 10 and 7 when she died and remember having a happy childhood.
My mum ran the local brownies, which I went to. We went dancing, normal family activities.
We just went along with whatever was happening. You know, our father tended to, as much as he can, take charge of the situation. We had some great friends and neighbours around that helped look after us three.
A major investigation was launched when Josephine was reported missing on the 30th of October 1974. Anglia TV filmed a reconstruction of her last known movements, and Essex and Hertfordshire police took 1,900 statements. In February 1974, Josephine placed an advert in the local paper looking for part-time work. She received a series of calls from a man who it's believed said his name was Dave and met up with him to discuss modelling. On the 29th of October at 1:15 p.m, she received a call from a payphone in Bradwell from a man she referred to as Peter. She told her children he'd answered her advert a long time ago. She arranged to meet him that evening. Shortly after 6 p.m, she left her home in Malden, and the next reported sighting was at 7:15 at a car park in Witham. At 10:30 p.m. that night, it's believed she was seen with a man at the Fountain Public House in Good Easter. At 11:45 a.m. on the 1st of November, 3 days after Josephine had gone missing, her body was found in this field in Little Haddam. She was 35 miles away from her home and she'd been strangled. All these years later, the Cold Case Review Unit hopes that modern forensic techniques could lead them to her killer.
We have Josephine, some clothing and the like, and we are working currently with the Forensic Science Service to look for any new evidence from that.
It is important for us to have a conclusion to this. How we deal with it at the time, I don't quite know if and when it happens.
Anyone with information should contact the police on 0845 33 00 222. However insignificant it may seem, it could help to solve this 35-year-old mystery. Victoria Webb, Anglia News, Bishop Stortford.
Now, for thousands of parents across our region, getting their child into a good school is of vital importance.
It is indeed, but it seems many are telling lies to get the places they want. And now the country's school places watchdog wants to see tougher punishments put in place.
At one school in Hertfordshire, it's become such a problem that the head teacher even hired a private detective to check a family were telling the truth. Matthew Hudson reports.
A French lesson for Year 7 pupils at St George's School in Harpenden. It's a Christian faith-based school with excellent facilities and an enviable reputation. It's also massively oversubscribed every year. Parents have lied about their addresses or their faith to try to get their children a place here. Staff have acted as private detectives to catch out cheats. The school even employed a real private eye on one occasion.
We tend to do it ourselves. I've got a wonderful deputy, he's a marvellous sleuth, he's been doing this for a number of years. I myself have also gone out and looked at property at home time, you know, or early in the morning, or we've asked people to show us their utility bills, but that's not foolproof as we have found.
It's claimed that nationwide around 3,500 parents a year lie on applications. But at a press conference today, the chief school's adjudicator stopped short of recommending they be taken to court if they're found out.
It is, of course, like theft, because for every place that a parent gets who shouldn't get it, there's another parent and another child that doesn't get the place. I don't think necessarily that new legislation on the statute book that criminalises parents is the right answer. I think there are other things that need to be looked at short of that.
At present, parents have nothing to lose by lying, other than losing a place which they would not have got without cheating anyway. Each parent who cheats successfully denies another child a place. So can it ever be justified? A mixed response near Cambridge today.
If it's to benefit the child, then as long as it's not a blatant lie, I don't think there's a problem with it, really.
It doesn't seem acceptable to be lying in the process. I don't think anyone should bend the truth about anything, really. Honesty is the best policy, personally.
As long as some schools are perceived as being far better than others, it would seem likely that any future sanctions would need to be pretty severe in order to put parents off from cheating. What most parents say they really want is simply a good local school for their children to go to. Matthew Hudson, Anglia News, Cambridge.